Hello and welcome to today's video. Today I'm reviewing another pen from Majohn. Majohn or Moonman, depending on where on the pen you look, depending on where on the internet you look. Those are the names this company goes by. So this is the P139 and this was provided for me to review by 365 Days Stationery on AliExpress. So I will link to that page down below. Great range of pens, amazing service. One of the best sellers on AliExpress in my humble opinion. So this pen is a really interesting pen. Firstly, yes, it is a copy of the Montblanc Hemingway fountain pen. Few little differences. I don't own a Hemingway. It is one of those Montblancs that I actually would love to own. I think it's a beautiful pen. But that orange body with the black cap and everything, it is very much a copy. Now, there are three different versions of this pen. There's a white version, and there's just been released this sort of like blue, purpley marbled version, which looks really fantastic. I'm going to talk about the parts and features of this pen. I'm going to do a writing sample and talk about some pros and cons. There's a lot that's interesting here. Starting at the top of the pen, it's just a peaked little finial there. The cap swells slightly to the clip band, which is a gold colored clip band with a that clip cut in or placed on there, and that's a usable flexible clip. The cap then swells. We get a center band with a gold band, little black band, and then this sort of decorated gold band on the end of it. Step down onto the body, which is the color of the acrylic, so in this case orange, which swells slightly and tapers a little bit. And then we get the piston turning knob. It is a piston filling pen, and you can see little grooves around the edge of the piston knob there, and then a gold ring on the middle of it, and then it tapers to another finial. It is a twist cap, and it comes off in about 2 1/4 turns, which is a decent amount. I should say also the branding on the back of the cap there says Moonman. It is a nice twist cap though, like the threads are all nicely cut, it feels good. In fact, the entire build quality of this pen feels kind of amazing. There's a little transparent orange ink window there, which allows you to see the ink level in the pen. And then we get the threads on the black plastic section, which tapers slightly, a little flare, and then this fantastic number 8 size nib that is labeled Majohn. And then Expedition underneath there, and F for fine. It's got a sun and moon sort of logo on it there. It is a big nib, number 8 size nib, and it's a fantastic nib, and ebonite feed, which is awesome. So that is the basics of the parts and features of this pen. It's not a particularly long pen, but it is pretty girthy, and it feels comfortable enough in the hand. But yeah, that's the basics. Let's do a size comparison. Okay, so for the size comparison today, I've got the traditional Lamy Safari and then another of my favorite Chinese fountain pens. This is the Asvine J16 that comes fitted with a Yovo nib. I currently have it fitted with a nib from Inkcision, the Australian nibmeister Daniel Zhang, and it's a fantastic nib, but a Yovo ground to a medium architect. But you can see here that the Majohn P139 is slightly shorter there than the others. But I think because it's girth, it sort of looks shorter, but it's actually not too bad a length, but it is quite a girthy pen. Uncapped, you can see that number 8 size nib versus the number 6 size nib from Yovo there. It's still a shorter pen, especially if you put it sort of end of section to end of section. You're losing a lot of length there, but you're gaining quite a lot of length there in the nib. The P139 does post, not super securely, but you can use it posted. And it comes in at a decent length, shorter there than the Asvine, and sort of roughly the same kind of length as the posted Lamy Safari. So what are the specific dimensions of the Moonman or Majohn P139? Well, capped, it's 137 millimeters. So yes, it's a couple of millimeters shorter than something like a Lamy Safari. Uncapped, it's 125. Now, this may not be quite big enough for some people in terms of the length into the hand. The length of the nib, I should also say, this pen does come also in a version with a number 6 size nib, if that is your preference. That length of the nib away from the page is a lot here with the number 8 size nib. It's always my concern with the number 8 size nib is that is quite a distance away from the page. But yeah, the length in the hand isn't particularly long. It's got good girth though. posted, as I said, it does post, not super deeply or securely. You got to give it a little bit of a push on there. 178 millimeters, so perfectly usable sort of length. It is a girthy pen. The section in the middle there is about 12.5 millimeters, so it is on the chunkier side, and around the cap is almost 17 millimeters. So big pen. The entire pen weighs about 35 grams, 25 in the body, 10 in the cap. So the balance is okay. You don't feel it necessarily back weighted. Personally, I tend to write with this unposted. It is a little on the shorter side, but it's still perfectly comfortable, and it just means I don't have to push that on quite so hard there. It is a piston filling pen, so fill it up by putting the pen into a bottle of ink and turning the piston knob on the end, and the piston runs up and down in it. And it has a pretty decent capacity of about 1.5 milliliters, so not bad at all. Time for a writing sample now, and we have the Majohn or Moonman, depending on where you look on the pen, P139. I'm assuming, as in other pens, that the P means piston 139. Okay, and 139 also refers to a Mont Blanc number. The ink I have in this, I should say, this is a fine steel number 8 nib, and the ink in this is Lamy Petrol from 2025. This ink is really growing on me, both in terms of performance and also color. I think it's really interesting. Super wet ink in a very wet pen. Let's do some writing. Okay, this pen writes really wet. This pen writes really smooth. It's also exceptionally broad for a fine. I know it's a very different pen, but the Kaweco Sport here I've just got on hand, which is a medium, this is a super broad fine. As I said, it's also super wet. Reverse writing, yeah, that's pretty good. It's a little dry and it's super fine, but it's definitely doable. Softness, you can get a little bit of line variation out of this pen if you are careful. I wouldn't push it sort of too hard, but if you give a little bit of pressure, you are going to get a little bit of line variation, but also just be aware, doing that, you are putting down a ton of ink. So, quick writing. Honestly, I can't fault how this pen writes. For some people, it'll be a little on the broad side. Absolutely it will be, especially for a fine nib. For some people, it may be a little bit on the wet side. Totally get that. Totally understand that. Here, though, in my writing situations with this pen on Midori, on Clairefontaine, this is 90 GSM Clairefontaine, on, Irrefull paper, things like that, I'm getting a lovely writing experience out of this nib. In a recent review, my most recent Moonman review of the B25 here, I said this was my favorite Moonman writing pen. And I love how this pen writes for like a simple, clean, everyday writer. It's the knockoff of the Parker 25, the B25. But this supersedes all of them. This supersedes every Moonman pen I've ever written with. This is easily the best writer from Moonman I have ever used. And I have to say, even though I know it is they've taken the design from Mont Blanc, I have to say the way this pen writes and the way it's built, this is a phenomenal pen, and even more so at the price point. So the Majohn P139 retails through AliExpress, 365 days stationery, link down below, for for between 65 and 75 with the number 8 size nib, that's Australian, and the ebonite feed. I've seen it more than that. I've seen it, particularly with the number 6 size nib, less than that. This is a really, really interestingly priced pen. Yes, it is a Chinese fountain pen. It is Chinese made. It is a knockoff of Montblanc, all that. I totally get it. But the quality of the pen you're getting and the quality of the writing you are getting is amazing. So at that price point, I think this is a very, very interesting pen. So what are the pros and cons of this model for me? Well, I'm going to put something in the neutral category here, and that is the number 8 size nib. People love number 8 size nibs, and therefore this pen is going to attract them. And this pen's been around for a while. Like, this isn't a new model, so it's been around. People know about it. It's well loved. Number 8 size nib with an ebonite feed, people are going to go nuts. People do go nuts. It's great. For some people, that number 8 size nib is too big. For me, it is just usable. Like, I find I have to change, like, if I'm writing with a number 6 size nib, one second, like the Yovo here, I find my grip is more contained in my hand, like, you know, where my fingers sit, so that nib is very, very comfortable. It's very relaxed. I find with the number 8 size nib, to get the right length from the page, I have to sort of have my fingers sort of slightly out onto the page a little bit more. And for me, that's not quite as comfortable, but that's very doable. But it's all way more comfortable than the, the number 9, say, from Wing Sung here. Like, that's too big. Just put those in next to each other. Like, that number 9 size nib from Wing Sung is absolutely ridiculous. But yes, so the number 8 will be a pro or a con to some people. For me, it sits in the neutral category. Other cons for this pen, these are very, very sort of subjective things. Firstly, yes, it is a ripoff of the Montblanc Hemingway. Now, okay, that is a pen that is no longer made. That is a lot of people's grail pen that they love the look of, they love the feel of it, all of that kind of stuff. This isn't going to replace that. But it is a pen model that is no longer made. And when you buy that, it can go for like $4,000. It's an expensive pen. So, you know, this at $75, not competing with the Montblanc, not trying to be a Montblanc, just styled in the same way. That's going to be up to you whether you can get your head around that. The other thing for me is that the orange here, if you look at the Hemingway, the orange is quite warm. This orange is a little bit more dull. I mean, it kind of feels a little bit sort of, I don't want to say cheap, but because it's a much more affordable pen. But like, for instance, where the ink window goes in here, you can kind of see like an overlap through the plastic or something where you see like the shadow of what's underneath it. So it's not transparent, but it's also not sort of opaque enough to sort of block those things out. It's just a very bland sort of orange plastic. But there are so many pros with this pen. Oh my gosh. Firstly, the way that nib writes, it's just sublime. The feel on the page is beautiful and smooth and free. I love writing with it. And a big part of that is also the fact that it's got that ebonite feed, which just really promotes a really healthy sort of ink flow to the nib. It's wonderful. I actually quite like the size, the girth of it. If it was a few millimeters longer, I wouldn't be upset. But the girth of it in the hand, it feels good. It's, as I said, it's nice to write with. It's fantastic. The piston filler, the piston works beautifully. It's got a good ink capacity, all that kind of stuff. It's got an ink window, which is awesome. A lot of pens just don't have ink windows, and I find that so such a missed opportunity. So that's great here. And then the other thing about this pen is that it kind of has a luxurious look and feel to it. Obviously, it's not competing with the Montblanc, but it has a nice feel to it. So I gave this pen to a couple of fountain pen users who are just everyday pen users, and not collectors, not Montblanc people, anything like that. And I said to them, write with it, tell me what you think. And they were all, firstly, blown away by how the pen actually wrote. And then when I asked them to, sort of guess a price point, they all guessed considerably higher than this pen's price point. So, you're getting a pen that inspires, is interesting, is beautiful, writes really, really well built, all of that kind of stuff for a really, really reasonable price point. if you can get your head around the fact that it is a Chinese-made pen and a Chinese-made pen that is designed to look a lot like a Mont Blanc, then you're going to get a fantastic writing instrument here. And for me, in the end, what I love about this is just what a fantastic writing instrument this pen really is. So this was the Majohn or Moonman P139. I hope you found this video interesting and useful. Please like, subscribe, hit the notifications button, all that kind of stuff. It all helps the algorithm. Anytime you follow, anytime you like, anytime you comment, it keeps my videos coming up, and it helps me then to be able to make more videos for you. All the ad revenue from these videos goes directly back into the channel so that I can buy things to show you. I can, and then eventually also upgrade some of the technology like I have recently with the camera and the microphone. So yes, thank you so much for your support, and a big thank you to 365 Days Stationery for providing this pen for this review. I've linked to their website down below. Check them out. They have all the, a lot of the good Chinese brands of pens and things are all represented there. So definitely worth looking at. So yes, in the meantime, enjoy your pens, enjoy writing, and I'll talk to you soon.